Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We're here again live with a episode for you. Today, we're going to be talking all about the inner child and helping to heal that.
Yes.
But first,
Where
we have
shall
to
we
do all the
start?
fun things, making sure everything's public. And if you're watching this on a replay, because we know it takes people a few minutes to actually realize that we're streaming, especially since we're 2 hours early today, take
Yes.
a moment and share the stream with somebody that you know, or make a comment and tag somebody that you think would benefit from the material, because we all have an inner child that could use a little bit of love. Even if you didn't have big trauma, like there's big T and little t, all of us have had imprints. All of us have things from the past and our childhood that could take a little TLC.
Exactly.
Uh,
So I don't know. Where shall
I
we
know.
start?
Well,
It's
right now I'm making my thing public still, and now I'm good.
Yeah, I am too. I am too. Technical stuff that has to
Yeah.
happen.
All right. And we have Debbie saying good morning. We have my Magic Mike say good morning. And
Good
I think I want
morning.
to. I'll touch on that first, because I was doing some work for some folks, and in one of the communications prior to the whole concept of big T and little T kind of came up, and big T trauma is people who have had like some major traumatic event. It could be a divorce, it could be abuse, it could be any number of things. Where little T trauma, like say you had emotionally unavailable parents, and people will say, I had a great childhood. But then as they start to explore that a little bit, but mom and dad never were there, or it was always don't show your feelings. Children are seen but not heard. And though that's not overtly like abuse, like that type of thing builds up over time. And I think that, big T people kind of have it easy. They can look and be like, that's what happened to me. I know exactly what needs healing. But like some things with little T trauma, it's like such little things over a period of time that condition you to behave or not behave in a certain way, and that could be really hard to kind of pinpoint like what exactly needs healing. So just know that it's constant progress, and just really kind of giving yourself a little space of kindness to move through it, no matter if it's big T or little T trauma.
Big T, little T. Those create programs and patterns. So if your parents weren't available, or you sat at the dinner table and we never discussed feelings, we never that was just everything. It was just you just didn't do that. So then those create patterns that then you have to bring awareness to and start working on shifting and changing. Whereas the big traumas, I mean, those are traumas. But I think I was thinking about this last night. It's the energy, it's not you. You will never be 5 years old again. You will never be 7 years old again. You are now this age, and next week you will be a week older. It is the energetic imprint that's left. So you yourself are fine. It's just the imprint, the energy, the meteor that hit when, as Hank said, big T or little t happened. So it's this dissonance of thinking that I have this trauma and now I have to carry around this trauma. And there's two sets of people. I think there's people that identify with it, carry it, use it as an excuse, because I have seen people use it as an excuse, and I'm not dismissing anybody's things that have happened in life. But the goal is to get on with it, clear that energy, and move on and be better, and not sit in that space. And I think sometimes we have a tendency to sit in that space and say, well, I can't function in life because of XYZ that happens to me. So that's a very big difference. And that's a very big topic of conversation.
Yep.
Do we want to work on clearing it so you have a happy life and better life and you are more whole? Or do we say we want to clear it, but we sit there anyway?
Yeah. And also, part of the damage, the thing is really just fragmentation in general. What I mean by that is, like, quantum physics and everything shows us all you have is the moment, right? Like, what if now is the wound? And instead of looking at the wound now, just to play on what Dr. K was saying, like, you are empowering the past instead. And by doing that, you disempower you in this moment being able to make a different choice. And
Yeah.
Bashar talks about that, about the Chandler guy that I talked to. It's like really about now. Like if it's all about now, you're creating the past and the future from the now. And so, what past would you like to create? If you have a traumatic past, what would it look like to say, what would it look like if my childhood looked like this? How do I feel that? And like literally rewrite it.
Yes, there's a lot of exercises around rewriting your story. And that is an exercise you can do. You can sit down and rewrite, just get a little notebook or pad of paper and rewrite your life the way you would want it. That does create a different energy force that goes out. Yet there are people, I have had clients that done this. Well, this and this and this happened, so I have social phobia, so I just won't go out. I'm like, well, is that the way you want to live? Or would you prefer to be happy and to move on from that?
Yeah. And this also one thing that we're talking about creating it from the present. That is a journey in and of itself, because I am someone who had a very interesting childhood, to say, and it's been, sometimes it's easier to be in that space and not, because life happens, and then it can be easy to go back to those old patterns. But I think that one of the big keys is to just start by being grateful for everything in the past, quote unquote. Like, so if that was your past, like what tools, what medicines can I take from that, that then instead of being this negative imprint is actually something that I can use to help someone, and not to empower the past, but just like as a I don't even like to say relate, because they say misery loves company, but being able to speak from a place of experience that could give somebody else the ability to not be owned or run by the past from that negativity, but like to help them see the nectar in every situation, including the nectar in this moment, that I don't have to go there at all. We did have a question, and by the lifestyle, I believe that they're talking about like aware of this now, but how to move out of the, like what we're talking about. It sounds great, but what's the first step for people to actually start doing it? Like the actual motions to move that direction.
I think number one, making the choice to say, I no longer choose to live in that space, because now it's an excuse. So I think the first step is you have to, sometimes there's a lot of stories out there, a lot of people that have gone through really challenging things, cured it, healed it, and now they are millionaires, or their life is much better than they ever could have possibly imagined. So they made a choice to say, okay, I'm going to work on healing this, versus, oh my gosh, this happened to me. And this is why I have depression. And they sit and percolate. Everything that's brought you to this moment is by some sort of potentially a karmic event that had to happen, a soul event that had to happen for you to learn some sort of lesson. And so the key is then, are we going to learn the lesson and get bigger, brighter, stronger, or are we going to sit? So be thankful for the events, because they all brought you to the space that you are now. And there's wonderful, magical things that could have happened. Life would be very boring if everything
Mhm.
was very easy. We wouldn't know the contrast between, I don't say bad or good. That's not the right term, but we wouldn't know the contrast. If you kept eating the same piece of chocolate cake every single day, would you not get bored of it and say, I'd like maybe vanilla today? You wouldn't know. We get highs and lows sometimes, which we don't really want, super highs and super lows in life, but that seems to be what the mind and ego like. But we wouldn't know the contrast. We wouldn't say, oh my gosh, this feels so much better. I feel healed. I feel this or that. So I think awareness is the number one thing, because if you're not aware, you can't do anything about it, right? So the first step is bringing you to the awareness. It's like, oh, okay. So then what type of work do we have to do to get around this and move through it?
And
That would be
Magic and Mike was saying every event, and yeah, I mean everything. Like my teacher Zam will talk about, everything in creation had to capitulate just the way it is for that billboard to say what it says, for you to have this awakening. Like every creation would not be complete without everything happening that exact same way for you to bring you to this moment. Where we lose it is staying in this moment and fragmenting to the other ones. Like Hawaii is one of the most recently discovered indigenous people. And in their original language, there was no past or future, it was just the moment. And we modernized them with English and things like that, but there was only the moment. And just think about that, like what would it be like? What's an analogy? Someone shows like a boat going in the water, and the past is the wake of the boat, and they say the wake cannot power the boat. Only the moment, you being in the boat and making the choices of what direction to head, can power the boat. And even choosing the direction doesn't power the boat. That just points to direction. But then you might have waves or places you have to navigate around and things, so you have to stay conscious once you push off. But the whole thing is, in this moment is where the true power lies. In fact, I think there's a book called that, Power Now, right? By Eckhart Tolle, I think.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, there was another piece to that, and I just almost fizzled. No, poof, the magic dragon come back.
That's dragon.
No, but it is about the moment and like being present. Oh, that was it. Actions speak louder than words. If you're thinking about it and noticing that, that's great. But the next thing that you could do is, instead of letting yourself have stinking thinking, like we say in AA, drop from the head into the heart and ask the question, what could I do today to be first different? And then what could I do to express that beingness? Because that's another thing that we really have incorrect, is that we think we need to do something like go get a job in order to have something they call money, in order to be the thing they call secure. But really it works the other way. It's beingness that comes first and then the doing. And so like, what energy could you be today, dropping into the heart space, and then take an action to help you feel that?
Yes. So it's the mind brain coherence. And Dr. Dispenza talks about this too, that things can be healed absolutely instantaneously if you get into that space of mind and heart coherence. But that's not always the easiest thing to do for everybody. So.
Well, and it's progress, not perfection. Like
Right.
Dr. K said, the first thing to do is simply notice. The next thing is, don't judge yourself for whatever
Right.
you're noticing. Because if you
Right.
judge yourself in a way, you're not surrendering to what and how you're showing up. And just that inability to surrender to the a-hole that you are in this moment, or whatever the case is, that creates the friction that continues to have that separation. It's like fully just surrendering to what shows up. And then from that place, now I can have a lot more power in my choice to make a change. But if what shows up, I'm like, oh no, I don't like that at all. That resistance, there's the energy, what you resist persists. So if you're not an allowance to it, the energy is going to keep nudging, nudging, nudging. Or they have the saying, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So that's the resistance. But if you're an allowance, it gives the ability for both people or things to step into a new space.
Yep. And I think the other thing is that I'm learning is that when we don't want to feel something, and this I see a lot too with just general people and friends, when we don't like something, we tend to push it down. We don't want to feel that way. So it's like, no, I want to feel positive all the time. I want to feel good all the time. I don't want to feel that feeling. So we shove it down. But when we shove it down, it finds a little compartments and it stays, and then it comes out sideways. So the key really is to love and accept the things that have happened. Love and accept you're feeling angry right now. Okay, so loving and accepting that you don't feel great right now, but it is a part of you. So don't push it away. Don't shove it down. And some people go so deep as to, there's parts that they don't like so much that they will drink, they will do drugs, they will do all sorts of things to avoid that. And I see that. And that is going to create a lot of problems in your life. So the best thing to do is to face it. I think and love it, and almost hug it and say, like a best friend, and say, I care for you. I hug you and it's okay. So you could use that technique. And I think the other thing is not commiserating. So there's a lot of angles of this, but I see a lot of people, especially with something like divorce. You get divorcees that get together, right? And then they're like, I hate my husband, I hate my wife.
Yeah.
And then they're just going to sit and commiserate.
Misery loves company, isn't that
Yes,
the saying?
that is going to create nonsense.
And that's what I was alluding to. Like your experience is good in one way, but like you want to be careful, if you can relate to someone's pain, not to commiserate with them, but offer rather that, hey, I went through that too, and here's what I did. Turn it into a point of, because I've been there or in a similar situation, I'm an authority figure in a way, or you are, if you have something that someone going through, but not going to be like, oh yeah, the divorce and that person was this and that, and men are all evil or whatever. Like, wow, I can feel your pain. I went through something similar, and here's what I did to overcome it. Because then now it's become a point of resonating relatability, but elevating it.
Yes.
Instead of going, yeah, all people are scumbags or whatever. But we did have talking about taking a step towards yourself. I posted a meme. I'll see if I can find it and just put it up in the chat in a moment. But we have Brian Kennedy. One thing they're acknowledging, we're kind of like a hologram. And if you think about that, think about the idea that what if all creation is within you? And I mean that for Dr. K and me. And at the same time, I am the only one in the room. And so is Dr. K. Both are true. So when you're thinking about that, everything becomes a projection from yourself. Everything is a mirror in a sense. And that's what he's referring to with the hologram. I'm a hologram of an Iraq combat veteran. And I look back now on my insistence that I suffered for 20 years. And this is a great example. Like, people want to empower their past, identify with the story, and then it makes it harder and harder to let go. But all you have to do is, and it could be that easy. But here, this is exactly what he talks to. Various attempts at half efforts to heal, when really all I needed was a guide and courage to take a step towards myself. And, ego, we have that acronym, edging God out, right? And it wants you to relive your worst day of your life because it knows you survived it. The right. Brain, the ego, is only capable of interpreting what shows up, not the future. The future comes from that impulse, that intuition and things, and that's you getting in touch with that heart space. And once you can do that, now you can kind of have a sense of future possibilities, but the ego will want to talk you out of it. It would rather you stay safe, and it knows that those 20 years you stayed safe.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think when you really think about the fact that it's an energy that happened, it is not you, and don't empower the past, like Hank said, because we do that. We empower the past. And I find that the people that empower the past are the ones that are in disability because of depression, because we keep repercolating the same thing. And that's not the way out. If you feel like a victim, you will be treated like one. Don't sit in that space. And I'm saying that with utmost respect. However, I've seen it. It becomes an identity. We live in the past. And if you live in the past, there's a saying that goes, if you live in the past, you're in depression. If you live in the future, you're in anxiety. Yeah. If you're in the present is where it all is. Today, you're okay. Everything is okay.
Yeah. And that brings up something before I put up the little meme that I think people will just love. I've been on a meme kick recently. If you follow me on my personal profile on Facebook, I'm posting memes all the time. I love it. But one of the things that, did I just lose it? Oh my gosh. Okay, let me show this meme. Here's the meme. So here's this little guy. He's hanging onto his past. It's all heavy. And he's got this helium balloon. He's lifted up. His future, his higher self, life is calling, but they are holding on. And now how much energy does it take to hold on to that weight?
A lot.
So consider that it takes more energy to hang on to that stuff that's sticking you than to actually let go of it and transform it and transmute it. And now I remember the other point I was going to say. This authenticity coach I follow, he would say that your anxiety is you have fractured yourself and will project yourself too far into the future. And what happens is your current self is faced with future self stuff, and you're not your future self yet. All right. So the you now that you're not there yet, but trust and know, just like every situation that's ever happened up until this point, this is his moment of credibility for yourself that you can get through it. You have successfully chosen and navigated to this moment. Everything you've done, you have gotten through. And so when you're feeling that anxiety, you're pushing yourself out, but trust and know that your future self, when you get there, is going to know what to do. It's going to be able to navigate it just fine. But it's like when you project yourself too far into the future or anywhere into the future, that's where anxiety happens. And again, this is a fragmentation thing.
Yep, absolutely. It's so I keep thinking about healing the inner child. It already in of itself just feels like, oh, we had so much work to do. These things can happen instantaneously. It does not have to take years and years and years. So sometimes I think, number one, identifying. Okay, I recognize that this has happened. understand number two, that it's an energy, it's not you. It's just, like I said, like a meteor hits you, right? So
Mhm.
it creates, think of the meteor like a little ball. So the ball is lodged in, I don't know, your gut. We're just going to make it up. So it's just the ball that's the problem, but the rest of you is still there. So if you know and recognize it's just an energy, then we go in and we just clean it out. And it doesn't have to take years. It doesn't have to take 100 years of therapy. It really doesn't. I think there's an impression sometimes out there that you have to be in therapy for 8, 9, 10, 12 years. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So find other modalities out there. There's tons. I use a Paramedes process, which I always call
I
it
love that too. I use it all the time now.
Prometheus.
Oh, wait, what is it called? Do I still say it wrong?
Yeah, Prometheus. But
I thought
it,
I finally had it right, and I've been saying it wrong for at least the last year.
it doesn't matter.
Wait, what is it supposed to be?
Paramedes.
Paramedes. Is that what I say? I don't know.
Prometheus.
Oh, did I say that this time though?
No, you
I
didn't
don't
say
know. I have had a hard time saying it. I think Paramedes process.
Paramedes process.
Okay.
Well, we uncover those things that are little nemesis, whether it's a big T or a little t. We bring it to awareness, we clean it out, and things start to shift. The energy's pulled up. So all we got to do is pull up the energy. So we pull up that meteor and we literally just clean it and clear it if you're willing to let it go. Because the tricky part is some people are not. It's like, and you have the willpower and ability to keep it if you'd like it. I can't take it from you if you want to keep it. But if you don't want to keep it, then let's just do some fast track work and get it out. And it doesn't matter what modality you use, but there are fast track methods to just really get that up and out and clear it. And it's like, whoa, if other people can do it, you can too.
The number one thing too is just feel whatever was frozen, as a lot of the things that live in the body as cellular memory is like the imprint like stored. And it's like when that starts to come up, like we need to feel it. And part of that is, especially in the West, we are taught like don't feel. We even saw at a little birthday party last summer, I think it was, there was a mother of one of our kids' friends like telling the boy, men don't cry. And it's like, what? No, don't say that. But so like we're stuck with that type of point of view. And then the other part, maybe I should bring up the question here. So we have a couple comments. I had another part, but it will come back on the divine timing. See, I have to make sure like when I should just like jump as instead of trying to make it cohesive here. But Karen Sweeney was saying all the self-doubt, and it's really about head over heart coherence. And Zane was talking about this on the stream, and maybe you could speak to it more. There's actually like brain cells in the heart, and that like you actually do have the ability to feel or to think with the heart, and it's a completely different animal. But we are taught to stay here, and we almost have like this barrier because we have this empath crisis in the States. And it's just like, oh my gosh, you are such an aware being. And I'm talking to everyone here. Like you might not realize it, but everybody here has the ability to be empathic to some degree, right? And you're so aware that what if you're aware of other people, places, and things, and then it's overwhelming and we live in our head instead? But so what would it take to go from the head into the heart, start choosing from here and using the head to be the executor once you've made the choice? Okay, how do we get there? Instead of saying, hey, brain, what should we do? Even though you have no clue about future possibilities, let's trust you to make the choices. No, like stay in the heart.
Yeah, the heart really is where it is. And creating that mind heart coherence is where everything clears and you have everything and everything is everything. And you feel so much immense love when you get there that everything just pops.
Now, here's a question that's going to be kind of, everybody can probably relate to the sense of grief. Yeah. And Annette was offering that when a parent dies, we inherit things from them. And maybe not even just when they die, we have imprints and learnings from them while they're still alive. But then once they're dead, it kind of amps up a little bit because we're imposing their judgment with our own consciousness. But we'll get to that. I've been holding on to items from an abusive parent, not realizing these items have been keeping me stuck. I didn't realize how much bad my energy they give off. I'm going to be cleaning things out this week. But I'm really glad you're going to be cleaning things out. But there's a term in psychology, it's called panoptic gaze. And one of the things that we have a tendency to do with a parent figure is after they're gone, or even sometimes when they're still alive, still judge ourselves through the filter of how they would judge ourselves. And so like one of the things to do is like to start asking the question, when you find yourself judging you or reverting back, like, is that really what I know to be true, which is going to be in the heart, remember? Or is this something that I learned to be true, which is going to be more in the head? And so like you can start just being in the question to start navigating, well, what is really mine and what's not. And 90 most of the time it's really just the heart space, like getting in there. And then it's not going to be, it's weird because it works differently. It's a different experience entirely, and we have to learn to be comfortable in the heart because there's a lot going on there, but it's all good. It's all stuff. And
Yeah.
it's all stuff that needs to be felt, because that's really what's going to help you navigate this crazy walk called life.
Yeah, and that's so good because remember, guys, objects contain energy. Everything contains an energy. That's how we see things. It's a whole physics. It's basic physics. The thing itself, atoms are vibrating, so we see things. But things contain energy. So there's so many incidences of this. If your mom wore a ring and she passed it down to you, but she had cancer, you're going to want to clean that ring because the energy of whatever was going on got absorbed, especially if there's a crystal in there. So objects carry an energy, and sometimes that energy is not great. There's a way to clean out the energy. However, in your case, I would for sure clean those things out. Let them go. Absolutely let them go. And when you let things go, you create space for more to come in.
Oh.
So there's so much of that. Like if you have clothes in your closet, we typically wear 30% of the clothes in our closet. If there's things that they're in there that you're like, I know I don't wear, donate them. Don't keep them because it's congesting your space.
And the things that you want to keep, like there's that condo lady, I forget her full name, but she has a whole process for cleaning out like clutters and things like that.
Yeah.
But like the main thing for her is you like hold the item and ask, does this bring me joy? And I would further to say, if you have an item and it's bringing up like an abusive memory or something like that, just put the comment back up there. Ask the question, what could I be or do here to be grateful for what's coming up? And like this is a big key, I think, because we have a tendency to, especially in the West, man, somebody's got to be to blame for something. Like, let's get a class action lawsuit, make them pay, and like there's always this transference of blame. But you chose to buy it in the first place. Yeah, so like there's this element of responsibility, and on the soul level, did we choose the people that were going to be in our Wicca Nuna Ayu, our sacred soul hoop, to throw in a concept from my tradition, that they were there to kind of play devil's advocate, to give us the experience for us to know the contrast, what Dr. K said. So like that's how I look at my past. My past has given me the nectar and medicine to be a service, but also like a wonderful exercise. I'm grateful for everything. It took a while to get there. I'm grateful for everything because I'm the healer I am today because of the inspiration of childhood and things like that. So we come to this point, and we can be grateful for it. And if you aren't, then say it anyway. That was my big trick for a year. My first year of sobriety, I didn't believe it, but I came up with a gratitude statement for everything that I was in a pity party about. And there came a time when there was a shift. And one comment I want to...
Yep. I like it.
And Mike, he's making a reference to the Books of the Dead here. So in the Books of the Dead, there's like these bardos, and one of the ways to move on is you have to take your heart and you have to weigh it, and it has to weigh lighter than a feather in order for you to move on into the next like part of the afterlife. But the real trick of that test is to not let yourself be judged. And so when we talk about the judgments and things, like Mike's things, weigh it against the feather, like really like look to not be in judgment either way and not to be judged either way. It's none of your business what other people think. But it's a hard thing, like looking at all these things and like really coming from a place of surrender. But what if it's not hard? Maybe we just were taught that it's hard, and we can, like Dr. K was saying, make it just easy.
I love the word, the word hard. And I think about this all the time. Nothing is hard. We make it hard. It's just like, do you say walking is hard? You put one step in front of the other. right? But in our brains, we come up with, oh, this is going to be really hard. We're already like, it's just an action. Yet, because we have so many triggers and things in our heads, we think this is going to be hard. Oh my gosh. Oh, lifting, that's going to be really hard. Oh, going through this process is going to be really hard. Oh, this is really hard. It really isn't. It just is. It's just like staring at the tree. The tree doesn't say, oh gosh, a storm's coming. This is going to be really hard on me. It doesn't. It just stands. So, but the brain does that. This is going to be hard. This has been really hard. The process or whatever the thing is just is. It just is. So if you have somebody in a plane looking down, they're just going to watch it and say, well, this is going on. Meanwhile, we're down on the earth going, this is really hard. So hard is an interesting word.
Yeah, maybe we just like making it hard because it's more fun in the end.
Right.
Things good, embellish. Yeah, you got to work hard for the things you want. Well, no, you could just like, they could be easy. But if we are here for the experience and the journey, maybe we're making it harder than it really needs to be, because we like, who here likes a good soap opera? You can admit it. Maybe we're here for the ride. I don't know. So the two things. Well, we'll talk about this one first. What about, how does fear play into this? I have a couple acronyms I love when she's bringing up fear. Fear is like the thing that can stop, even if you're letting go of the past. What about stepping into the future and dealing with this little 4-letter word?
Fear will always be there. There are plenty of acronyms for fear. I know some of the ones you're going to bring up, so I'll let you bring them up.
Well, my favorite one, though, and this kind of moves back to our anxiety talk, is like fear is feeling excited and ready. Fear and excitement can be perceived by the body and feel the same. And so what if when we're afraid of something, it's actually us getting excited about what we're about to create? And you experience as excitement if you don't fragment into the future. That's probably the real difference, huh?
I don't think fear, I've really, and continue to really research this and just learn about it and learn from different folks out there on fear. I don't think fear ever goes away. You kind of have to plow through the fear, feel the excitement, know that it's the ego pulling you back, and you just kind of got to plow through it. Majority of fears are kind of made up. We are born with one innate fear, and that's fear of falling. So that will always be there, but the others are accumulated and they're just there sometimes. I don't think we ever get rid of it 100%. However, I do think we can decrease it. So a lot. So. And
I just drew up all my acronyms. These are my 3 favorite.
False evidence appearing real.
Except I put number 2. It's supposed to be number 1. Feeling. See, I can't even type the little banner right. Oh my gosh. No, but so it's okay. Now I got it correct. So now it's not adding it. Oh my gosh. Oh wait. Now I can save. Now I click add banner. Now we go. There we go. So 1 is feeling excited and ready. 2, and Dr. K touched on this, false evidence appearing real. Ooh. And then 3, forgetting every available resource. We have all the tools we need to feel the fear and do it anyway, or be it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? You can explore that. And that kind of gives people some peace of mind. Like if you were to choose whatever it is you're afraid of, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. Play it out for yourself. How many fears have you already felt in this lifetime, whatever age you are currently, and you are still standing? Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's things you've had to do despite the fear, and you're still here. You're still all together. So you kind of got to plow through these things. I think there was another comment.
Yep. And this was this is going to, I wonder what we'll create. Can and do soul split? And I guess what does the definition of split mean? Like into 2?
Yeah.
Or to like go somewhere else? Like I'm going to split and get out of here? Can and do soul split, or do they always try to get home? And what if they never leave home to begin with?
Yeah.
What if there's nowhere to go?
I have the answers I think some of my masters will have the answers more so than I will, but you are the soul. You're right here, right now. There's no getting home necessarily. You're in this body. The soul is using the body to navigate. So my understanding, as best as I know, is that we come here to play in this game we call life and have experiences and learn lessons. And when the soul has decided that it has completed those lessons, it will shed the body and move on to wherever that is. We have multiple planes of existence. So it goes to another plane of existence. The question to me has always been, well, does the soul ever stop coming back? And I don't know the answer to that. That's just me asking. But the game of life here is tricky. It definitely is. It can be hard. As most people say, that being on the lessons on the planet Earth are hard, and they can be however we perceive that. But we are here to. So the soul itself is an energy. It cannot pick up a pen. It's just out there, right? But to have those experiences, you need a body to move arms like a puppet. We're like, the body is almost like a puppet. So you already are a soul here, using the body to have the experiences. Okay, that's the soul. And you are learning lessons in that process. And then there's the whole thing of Akashic records, where we store that. Actually, I believe in the thymus gland, there's a little pinnacle there that takes that. Once we shed the body, we take that. That's like our filing cabinet of experiences, and we move on to whatever the next experience is. And I can't comment further on that because I haven't gotten there yet, and I don't know. So a lot of people that talk about it, but maybe you can talk. I don't know what you mean on the splitting piece. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if the soul splits into two different souls, but I don't know. I can't comment. Or do you know, Hank? I don't know.
I didn't mean to bring that up. I would just be worried. Like, I don't know if people are soliciting for readings in the chat. I don't know anybody in particular. If you want a reading, besides from us, we can recommend people if you don't resonate with us. No offense, Michael. I just don't know who you are. So, and I just see people soliciting for readings in the chat. So I just wanted to bring that up. In regards to the soul, like, there's so many different belief systems, and there's the idea that point of view creates your reality. And there's a book by Neil Donald Walsh called Home with God, A Life That Never Ends. And it goes over a whole way of when you experience what you believe in. And so like a lot of this, you'll experience a soul splitting or not choosing to get home or choosing to get home until you choose something else. And that's all part of the unlimited ways that reality can play out. But at the end of the day, the way that I look at it is that source is all it is, all at once, in the ever-present moment of now, and the illusion of the linearity in which we experience lifetimes, it's really all at once. And so it's like there's nowhere to go. There's only the illusion of running the maze until you decide that you don't want to do that anymore, and then you realize you're bored again, so do the maze again, and that type of thing. So... Yeah, but that's just a point of view. But if you have a particular belief system that you're operating within, and it's limiting you, then that's time to like. I'm not saying that you're having a limiting belief system, incidentally. I'm just speaking more generally that if something that you're believing isn't working for you, then give yourself permission to choose to believe something different that does work for you. We have been stuck. They say in astrology, incidentally, the first 28 years of your life is you being programmed. It's you being Pinocchio, just going with the planets, doing whatever the planets, the influences of the society and parents and everything, society and everything, it instills in you how you should be in order to fit in to what we have agreed upon should be the reality. And at 28, so many people probably can relate to this. And there's a little art coming in, going into it. So around 28, give or take a couple of years, you realize, wow, none of that is who I am. Like, how many people became a doctor because their parents were doctors? I'm not calling anybody out, incidentally, but no, I don't know if that was. I don't remember if that's your case or not. But like, but like I wanted to go into the military for a big part of my childhood. And why? Because my parents were in the military. They both met in the Air Force Base, and there was a big part of me that, hey, I'm going to go into the military. I even did the ASVAB, and I was ready to sign up. And the only reason I didn't is because my dad was deleting the messages off of my answering machine. I had my own phone line. He's like deleting this. He didn't want me to sign up. I didn't find that out till years later, by the way. And then I ended up getting a scholarship for school. So my whole life took a different direction. But I wanted to be something because of who my parents and who I was taught. And then around, that was 28, I think it's around close to my sobriety time. I just like, who am I really? And I just went on this quest to unpack everything that I wasn't, everything that was taught to me that didn't really line up with who I came to be. And then the next 28 years is you actually being you. And all that can be fast tracked. It's like Pinocchio. Once he's conscious, he doesn't have to go with the strings anymore.
Right.
You don't have to go with that. Like astrology is like the autopilot of the universe. The more aware you are, the less it matters, but it never doesn't matter. So I'm not.
And I think that's what we're really trying to do here, is to bring that consciousness, because there's so many people that are not asking these questions, and they're living a life that they don't enjoy. And we are in a time where I think people are really, I have a lot of people coming to me like, they're stuck in the job that they don't like. I'm like, why are you not doing what you're gifted at? Mm-hmm. Start to make that path. Start to bring more consciousness to all the crap that's been sitting there that you've never even looked at. Yeah, it's a Pinocchio-ish type of a rhythm that we're in.
Yeah. And Brian was just saying, thank you so much for taking on my questions. Questions are great. Like the cool thing is we can all have different points of view and everything. And it's fun to talk about. At the end of the day, all this stuff of how the universe works, the question really comes down to who do you choose to be right now? And what do you choose to do with this moment of consciousness? Because it's really fun to think about, but the journey is here now, so let's not get caught up. Well, it's fun to talk about though. So I mean, it is fun. Just don't get caught there, because there's some people that dive in and like that's all they do, which is cool. If that's your passion. Like that's cool to do it. But just be in the moment too. And Karen was also saying, thank you for such a great topic. And the little prayer things. You're very welcome. And what questions do you guys have? Like if you do have something specific that's really sticking you that we could dive into, or just some random thing. Like we love tangents, if you can't tell.
No.
Yeah, we love tangents. We do it on our own, but we can definitely do it even better when someone brings up something that we can tangent off of.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if there are any specific questions or on anything, really, we have some time. We can chat about anything.
One quick housekeeping question. If you have been watching from our Facebook group, the Holistic Health and Healing group, they are changing how the streaming is working. So I'm actually not streaming there. I shared the stream to there. And because as of a certain date in April, all the streaming to groups is going away because Facebook has chosen to make this happen. So like it can still happen, but it's really problematic on our side. So if you want to interact through comments, you can watch in Dr. K's personal profile, my profile, the YouTube channels, Twitch. You can watch it anywhere except a group, because the group chat, we're not going to be able to see the comments. So I'm just getting people used to it now. If you want to follow us in a different place to make sure you catch the lives, YouTube helps me the most. If you do the Sonic Shaman YouTube channel or Emergency Being YouTube channel, like I think that helps the most, or I think personal profile is the next best one. For me anyway. And Dr. K, where's the best place for people to follow you?
Probably Facebook at this point. I think I have a link to Instagram too, but that's a bummer.
Is it your page or is it your personal profile? Page. Yeah, I do too. Because you know what? It was a long time coming. I used to have, like, I've been in business since 2008, I think. And every time I would learn something new, I would like totally change everything and make new business cards and make a new website. And I had all this stuff. And then I finally realized that the one thing that never changes is me. So now it's just me. So the best place to follow me is just to follow me on Facebook.
Yeah, me too. I've learned that's the best thing to do. So I'll be kind of moving the other one out. I have to figure out how to do that with ease, and not create confusion. But that's a real bummer that Facebook is making new algorithms, but that is the way of the world, I suppose. Well,
yeah, I'm sure they will change their mind and
go again.
Okay, but we digress. Anybody have a question, or a comment that you would like us to tackle? Or maybe we're just naturally winding up. That could be too, which is fine. Mm-hmm.
I think just ending off, it just feels heavy that we just sit in that space. So I think I want to encourage you not to sit in that space of, as an inner child, I've had so many traumas. That place is gone. The energy might still be lingering and the energy gets re-triggered, but you are not that person anymore. So definitely don't want to create a situation of everybody going to their past now and getting off
Yeah.
this podcast and just like, I got to think about all the traumas I've had, and that's why I'm screwed up. You're not screwed up. You're not. Don't identify with being screwed up. You can just think about, there was a few meteors that hit me, and we just got to unplug them. That's all. But you, as a powerful being, are still very complete and whole and full. So don't sit in the traumas of all the stuff that has happened. That's in the past, and it's gone. It has no tangible existence anymore, aside from somewhere in our heads. So don't pull it back so much.
Yeah.
Recognize it. It happened. They're little energy sources, and we just work on whatever modality it resonates with you most to clean those up. That's all.
Yeah. And the thing that I was just feeling inspired to mention too is that the real past stuff, it's really a question of where have you not been in allowance or full surrender of what has shown up. So the past is only empowered from your inability potentially to receive it as it shows up and putting blame out and being a victim or anything like that. So really, like asking the question, where in my life have I been unloving to myself or to another, or have perceived someone to be unloving to me and not been an allowance of that? Those are the things to look at and then work with actively to shift out of it. Don't live there, but like be in the question, like, what could I be or do different? And sessions and things definitely help. And I love this comment. Nanette says, I'm not that person anymore. Thank you for the topic today. Yeah, you're the person. Everybody's the person they are now.
No. Yeah.
But sometimes that we were like, well, the person I am now is way smarter now. So I'm going to look at what I did yesterday. I'm going to judge myself because I have more data today, but I'm going to judge the past me for what they did. And so that's the other thing. Like we have a huge tendency to judge our old selves based on current data. And that's another invitation to like, no, you trust and know that you have always made 100% the best choice you could have ever made in the moment. Even if 10 seconds later or less, you go, ooh, that didn't work out well. But you still, in that moment, you made the best choice you could have made with the data possible, or you wouldn't have made it. You would have made a different choice. So like that is a liberating concept that you made the best choices you could make.
Maybe the next topic needs to be self-beat up.
Self-beat up?
We do that. We ping pong all over the place. I could have done better. I should have done that. The moment is always now. And Hank's right. You made the best decision with the information you had at that time. You are now 4 weeks later. You didn't have that information back then. You weren't in that space back then. You just weren't. That space was then. Now is now, and you can make a different choice now and maybe detour and make things better. You still have a new choice to make to course correct. So the space is always now. And really the key to life, the mic drop, is to be the observer. And that's another way of stating being an allowance. Because you're like the tree that stands there and just watches the traffic, watches the people, watches the bugs, watches the squirrels. You're just observing. You're not, the tree doesn't have all kind of, emotional nonsense that happens and drama and trauma because it doesn't like that the squirrel is chasing the bunny ears. None of that's happening. It's just watching everything. And when you do that, then you don't get so reactive. So the key is to become less and less reactive and be in more and more allowance. And then you're reaching a total space of peace because things just are.
The other thing is like, how many times do you have something going on in your life? And how we talked at the beginning, misery loves company. And I share with Dr. K, oh, Dr. K, this person did this to me. And she goes, oh, no, that's terrible. And then she gives her 2 cents. You should do this. You should do that. She doesn't really do that, but we tend to do that. And then we're making our situation, instead of going on our own knowing, now we're empowering other people's opinions. And don't empower somebody else to be the hero of your story. you're the hero of your story. So, how would you like to see it go and start choosing related to that? And then Karen was offering that once in a while she sees a trigger and she becomes aware. I offer that triggers, like there's this amazing book, it's called CPTSD, From Surviving to Thriving. And they talk about how when you have a similar experience now in the body, it can resonate with a past thing, and they call it like an emotional flashback, and the nervous system is actually responding. And here's a little tool I got from the class I took recently from the 4-1s, and they talked about this 4-part breath that helps to reset the service of resets the immune system. And I'm sure they got this breath from somewhere else. I think the military uses it. He mentioned in the stream that you just breathe in to the count of 4, hold for the count of 4, exhale to the count of 4, hold for the count of 4. And just like even 1 to 2 minutes of breathing that way, when you feel triggered, you're helping the nervous system, sympathetic something. Anyway, you're helping the nervous system shift, and you're doing an interrupt, and you are letting your body, instead of reverting back to how it responded to the stimulus in the past, giving yourself a new opportunity to choose differently. But like, you just notice when that trigger, you become aware, and now do that little 4-part breath, 4-part 4-count breath, and it can really, really shift things. And Karen also says if she doesn't learn, that comes back again. Let me offer that maybe it comes back again, not because you didn't learn it, but because there's a new depth of understanding, or that re-resonance, because you had that re-resonance, there's someone in your life that maybe is going to need that medicine. And it's not always because we didn't learn it. Everything is cycles. We spin, we fly around the sun's flying around something else. Everything is in cycles. So sometimes it's just secular, and it just comes up because it had to come up. And you get to choose how you deal with it. And it doesn't mean you didn't learn anything. Not always.
Yeah, that's the box breathing technique. And that breathing brings you back to front and center. So when you're spinning off somewhere, it brings you back.
Ooh, there's a name for it, box breathing technique?
I believe, there's multiple ways.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I now that's a lot easier to explain where I got it from. I'll just say, this is the box breathing technique. And Dr. K gave it a name for me. So thank you. Let's see. Magic Mike says, don't give your power away. In the current, we hear critical thinking. Yeah, you don't want to give your power away. And by that, also give the power in the heart, not the head. Critical thinking, sometimes thinking is stinking. They say, if you're thinking, you're stinking, they say in AA. So it's really like we've been really preaching today about heart space and being in the heart. And Annette says she'll try the breathing exercise. Cool. Let us know in the future stream, or message us how it goes for you when you do it. In fact, practice it when you don't need it. When you go to bed and then you wake up, do 30 seconds of it or a minute. And then when you are triggered, it will probably come a little bit easier, and your body's going to set into it faster because you've already set a experience around it for it to go into a calming place. So that might be a thing to do a little bit when you don't need it versus waiting till you do.
Don't energize things, guys. Don't energize. Don't over-energize.
Yeah. Because I haven't used this one in a while. Because energy flows where your attention goes.
Yeah.
So focus on your possibilities and what you like to create. And then you'll do more of that instead of going to your past and seeing if anything's changed.
Right.
But the past doesn't change what you change. You don't have to let the past rule your future, because it can't. You can't power the boat from the wake. Let's see. Everyone was just saying yes. Cool. I love all the comments today. Thank you, everyone, for being so present and active. And it really makes a difference for what we talk about. Because we could talk indefinitely about anything, but it's way more fun when we're talking about things that you would like to hear about. It's very rewarding. We're coming up on the hour mark, so I will throw in this last call for questions. Now, that doesn't mean that we'll stop, because we sometimes go over, but we'll officially say, for comments and questions, inspirations, let us know if you have anything else. April was saying that she is active and trying, and Annette's saying she's going to the past to see if anything's changed. Never looked at it that way. Yeah, I just said that, I think, for the first time that I've said it. But
Still there.
sometimes I have to go back and watch these because I'm like, I remember saying something, but I have no idea what I said. And I think I should probably listen to my own advice. So I should go watch the stream again.
I think there is a place for, looking at things, because if you don't have the awareness, then I see it as multiple not multiple levels, but levels of people that shove things down because they know they're there, because they keep coming up, like, I'm getting gross here, but when you don't feel good and you're nauseous and you're like, I'm going to throw up. It's the same thing when there's been pain, but somebody that absolutely refuses to look at it, and I've had those people, then they will, the second it comes up, it's like, well, it's coming up often and I don't really want to look at it. So I'm going to drink, I'm going to have a couple of drinks, I'm going to turn on the TV, and multi-stimuli so that we shove it down and don't look at it. That's a different story. Those cases, I think there is an essence of bringing that up so you can deal with it. But then there's those people that have pulled it up and keep looking at it. You keep pulling up that old book to see if anything's different in it. That's energizing the problem. If you're in one of those two categories, number one, if you are somebody that has to have the TV going all the time, has to have the radio and the TV going and your earbuds in, and you got to be drinking, there's probably something you need to look at. Okay, so do the due diligence to at least look at it, pull it up, and bring it back to the center. And the center is cleaning and clearing it out. And then if are those people that just, I found all my traumas, I've been in therapy for 8 years, and it helps. You haven't cleaned the trauma then you're re-energizing the problem. You're re-energizing probably 2 or 3 or 4 roots of something, weeds, as I call them. Come back to the center and let's clean out the weeds. So both parties still come to the center to clean all that out in whatever method resonates with you most.
Yeah. And if you have someone like that in your life, don't squeeze this. I would invite you to not squeeze the sponge. And what I mean by that is sometimes we want change for a person more than they want change. And our very desire for them to change pushes the change away.
That is the third group of people.
That's the third group of people. And so if there's someone like, I always like this, be the invitation, not the declaration. And if you are declaring you're doing this and you're just coming to a standstill with whatever it is showing up. But when you're the invitation, you're not doing that. And then that person can step into a new experience. And if you really are the only one in the room, if that's true, and all creation is within you and everything you're looking at is a mirror, nothing you do externally is going to make that reflection in the mirror smile back at you first. It's got to be you. What can I change in me to experience a different thing around this person or experience? And then not having an expectation that it's going to change, because if you're resisting how someone shows up, well, guess what? What you resist persists.
Yeah.
And so like, what if the things should, that's the third thing of people. And then if you are finding yourself like not wanting to change, like start really, if you can be, at the end of the day, it comes down to willingness. Do you want to be better more than you don't? It's the rule of 51%. The rule of 51%. You don't have to give it 120%. You don't have to give it 100%. You don't have to get 80% to change. All you need is to want it more than you don't. And if you want it more than you don't, then you're going to have progress, But do you want it? And if you don't, then do what you do until you do.
That's the fourth group of people. You can keep your stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. If that's what you choose in this lifetime, that's totally fine. But I love that comment. That is the third. So the number one group of people are the ones that don't want to look at it, but need to look at it. Number two group of people that have looked at it, but keep energizing it. Number three group of people, which is a lot of group of people too, that, I want my husband to change so bad. I've changed. I want him to change. You can't. When the student is ready, the right teacher will arrive. So you keep dropping seeds and pull back, drop the seeds and pull back.
With no expectation of what flower you're going to get when you drop the seed.
Exactly. Yes. People will change when they are ready to change. You cannot force that. They may not be ready for that massive change that you underwent. And yes, it may have been wonderful for you. And you're like, yes, if only they knew how wonderful this feels. They're not there. They're
Yeah.
just not
And you don't
there
know
yet.
their journey. They might be here just to give you the reminder you're not in control of them. You know? So Nanette was saying, or the saying, be the change. Be the change you want to see in the
Right.
world. What could you do? What could you choose? What could you be in order to help create the world you like to live in? And know that when you actually care about that in your day-to-day life in your local community, and that starts to spread, that's how we really change the world. It's not about, oh, we just need a whole government overhaul and this and that. Like, what can you do in your own little neck of the woods and be the invitation and the inspiration? And then that starts to catch. Because that, your authenticity, if you can truly be your authentic self, that spreads like wildfire. It inspires other people to be their authentic selves. And the next thing you know, we're doing what Neil talks about in his 4th book, Awaken the Species.
I get
And we
chills.
go from the kingdom of me to the kingdom of we and go, wow, we are actually a unit of humanity working together to celebrate our differences and not make each other wrong for being different. We're heading there.
Yeah,
We're heading
people
there.
want that. People want permission to be their authentic selves, but sometimes we're just too afraid. So when people that are like Tony Robbins or people that come up that are just higher profile people that give people that permission and drop that seed, it's like, oh, well, if they can do it, I'm gonna go. So it does catch like fire. Be the change in whatever way that is. Be authentic. People love that. Don't you love vulnerable people? Like, they're authentic. They're not fake. You gravitate towards those people. You want to be around those people because they have located themselves.
Yeah, and I made it official, Dr. K. I put it on the banner.
Permission.
You all have you have our permission to be you. And and that's when I went through my rebranding when things didn't work out with the old business. Like, if you look at my logo, Emergence of Being, that's really summing up where we are in humanity. And give yourself permission to, 1, be where you're at and not make that wrong. And then 2, make steps to becoming the being that you came to be. You're already that being. It's more about unprogramming the things that you bought into that aren't you than to stepping into you, like about letting go. It's that little meme again that I brought up. It's all about letting go, and it's so easy. All you got to do is let go. But I know
so hard, so hard
because it's hard until it's not. Yeah,
we're comfortable. We don't know. We know what we know, and that's comfortable. We know it, and we tend to just sit in these comfortable spaces because we do not have evidence for something different. So we are now segueing into the topic for next time.
Yeah, topic for next time. Okay,
being your authentic self, being you,
authentic self. That will be part 1 through infinity, because we can talk about that, because that's really what every single one of these episodes is really about, is giving you tools to step into you.
Whatever that is, the good, bad, the ugly.
Very good.
Just, yeah.
Good place to stop. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And I'm just so grateful for all the comments and everything that you guys really participate in today's conversation. Maybe 9 o'clock is a magic time, Dr. K. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll play around. We normally stream at 11, but we had to do it early today because we had other things going on. Or maybe it's just going to float around a little bit based on what's up. I don't know.
See, we'll take a statistical analysis of which.
Right. But again, thank you, everyone. We will catch you next time, and take care. Bye.